It's 4:05 p.m. on Monday, September 20th. Let's bring the regular closed session meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hawkins?
Here.
Councilmember Sagerstrom? Here. Councilmember Such?
Here.
With Mayor Pro Tem Plummer and Councilmember Garaventa absent.
Cool. So we will look for any public comments. Ain't nobody here. Okay. So I guess we will adjourn into closed session. Okay, the time is now 5 o'clock. I'm going to call the Monday, September 20th, 2021 meeting, regular Sonora City Council meeting to order. And we'll do the pledge. Jim, would you lead us in pledge, please?
Sure. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Hawkins?
Here.
Councilmember Garaventa?
Here.
Councilmember Sagerstrom? Here. Councilmember Such?
Here.
With Mayor Pro Tem Plummer absent, sir.
And just for the public's note that Mayor Pro Tem Plummer is actually out on a fire. He's firefighting with his chainsaw. So, city clerk's report on agenda posting.
The agenda was posted on Friday, September 17th at 11 a.m.
Excellent, thank you.
Sorry, I forgot about that the date.
And then approval of the agenda.
So at this time, we actually need to pull item number 4, which is approval of resolution 0920-021A. We're pulling this item on the bequest of Sonora High, as they will not be holding their homecoming parade.
And then I'm asking for item number 8 to be pushed to the next meeting. I got some information, so I am asking for that one to be moved to the next meeting. So, anything else? Yeah. I mean, we can talk about it, but I don't know if you necessarily want me to talk about it right away. I would prefer to wait to the next meeting, but we can talk about it if you want to, but don't blame me. Yep. Well, again, if you want to talk about it, we will, but you're not going to enjoy it. That's all I'm going to say. So I would like to pull it to the next meeting, but if not, we can be contentious.
I'm not being contentious.
It's
Not being contentious.
so.
Well, can you tell me why it needs to be?
Okay, so one of the members that applied.
Should we, I'm sorry, should we wait till the
Again,
item?
if we want to do that, that's fine. I am trying to protect one member of the public that has applied. In a good way, I'm trying to protect them. But again, if you want to put them out there, that's fine, but it's not going to be on me. I'm asking to wait 2 weeks. So I'm just asking to wait 2 weeks. Can we wait till 2 weeks from now?
I don't know what's going to change in 2 weeks.
I need to talk a little bit more and I need to find out a little bit more because something popped up about one of the people that applied that is not good. So, but again, we can discuss it. I'll be glad to do it in open session. It just won't be pretty, so.
Mr. Mayor, if I will, it is not asking for a vote. It's just a status on that.
Okay, we can do that. That's fine. Okay.
If we talk about status, does that
Again,
bring
we
that
can,
person up?
we can.
No, I don't want to bring that person
Okay.
up if it's going to be.
Okay, so,
I mean,
like I said, I just was asking for 2 weeks, but we don't have to wait, so that's fine. Okay, so next is the public comment. The public may address the council on any item of public interest not otherwise on the agenda that is within the jurisdiction of the city. No action can be taken. Matters to be addressed may be referred to city staff or placed on a subsequent meeting agenda. Speakers are limited to a 3-minute presentation. Is there anyone, any member of the public that would like to speak? Okay. Moving on to consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be voted on in one motion unless a council member or member of the public has a question or wishes to discuss an item. In that case, the item will be removed from consent calendar, considered separately. Approval of disbursements in the amount of $169,781.58 and $45,336.63 for payroll inclusive of employee salaries, employer and employee taxes, and retirement contributions, miscellaneous voluntary employee deductions, holiday pay, and other adjustments. Any council discussion? Okay. Oh, Councilmember Segerstrom. Yes, so, yeah, and we had discussed it, but yes. Okay. Okay, and then I will ask for any public comment on this matter. Okay, so we will bring it back to the council.
Move on,
Sorry.
move to approve consent calendar.
Motion by Councilmember Garaventa, second by Councilmember Segestra. And since we have all of us here, I will ask for ayes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then there's one absent, so it passes 4-0. Okay, on to new business. Since we deleted number 4, we'll go to number 5. Approve holding the 38th annual Historic Downtown Sonora Christmas Parade on Friday, November 29th at 6 p.m. sharp. We actually got several items under number 5, so I'll read them off, and then are we just, we're going to be considering them separately?
No, you can consider them as one big motion
Okay.
for the item.
2 is adopt resolution number 9/20/2021B, authorizing the closure of State Route 49, Washington Street and Stockton Road, along with certain other city streets and designated no parking locations for the 2021 Christmas Parade and trolley stops. 3, request the mayor or mayor pro tem to represent the city in the Christmas Parade. 4, release the 3-hour parking restrictions from Monday, November 15th, 2021 through Monday, January 3rd, 2022 within the downtown corridor, which includes all the streets within Zone A. Mary Rose.
And this item is coming from your Community Development Department, so I'm going to have Rochelle Kellogg present this item.
Oh. What's the typo?
So we don't.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so she was just telling me that Kim had a typo. The actual parade would be on the 26th, not the 29th. So that'll be Friday, November 26th at 6 p.m. So this is our standard street closures that we do every year. Last year, of course, we didn't because of COVID, because we weren't going to be able to hold the parade. And so we are circling back to get it ready for Caltrans this year. This is part of our application to receive a encroachment permit for Caltrans. We have to have a resolution in place showing where we're going to close streets, where we're going to have any traffic closures, and all the full traffic control plan. All of that is put together. We have the resolution. Once, if it's approved tonight, what we're waiting on is verification from public health. So Caltrans will not process our application unless we receive documentation from public health that we can move forward with the event. If we don't receive that, we can't submit our application to Caltrans. It takes 6 to 8 weeks to get an encroachment permit from Caltrans. So we are pushing up against the deadline. And I know Mary Rose has requested documentation from the health department, but we've yet to receive it. So staff is asking that you go ahead and approve the resolution. If we are able to get the documentation that we need from public health, we would then submit our full package to Caltrans. Irregardless, if we can't hold the parade, which hopefully something we're able to do the parade, but we would also, item number 4 releases the restrictions, and we would do that anyway because that's just part of the Christmas tradition in our downtown to allow people to park without any restrictions in the downtown. So we would start 6 promptly. We would do our staging down on School Street as we normally would, and then it would end at Restano Way. Again, it's Friday night, and it's the day after Thanksgiving as usual. And we usually have between 65 to 67 entries in the parade. It usually lasts about an hour once it starts, from start to finish. It's all hands on deck. Every department is extremely busy that night because everybody is involved with putting on the Christmas parade. And then the following day, Public Works comes out on early in the morning, and they clean all the sidewalks in the streets and make sure everything's ready to go for the next day. So, again, these are our standard street closures. There's nothing changed on that, and we are asking your approval. And again, I'm not sure what's going to happen next because we're kind of in the unknown right now. So
I don't have.
that's what I have.
He's inside.
Do you have any?
Sorry, Rochelle, I guess the front door was locked for some reason, so.
I
Yeah,
thought
it's
Chris
actually- no, it's-
unlocked it. So.
It's
Okay.
It's open.
Yeah.
So we are. That's all I have for you guys. If you have any questions.
It's kind of unrelated, but I did want to know what the status of the Christmas decor is. I mean, apparently incinerated in the Washington fire.
Yeah, so we lost all of our Christmas decorations in the Washington fire. Everything is gone. Kim's been working, we contacted the people that we purchased them from originally. They are no longer in business, but they did put us into contact with another firm or another company. They came up and actually looked at the what we have and how the setup would be on the PG&E poles. At this point, it is highly unlikely that we'll have Christmas wreaths, but we are working on some new banners. They're working on the design, and hopefully, at a minimum, we will have Christmas banners downtown in the banner locations right now where the ones that the Chamber and the Vision Sonora were involved with. Those same locations will have the banners. I doubt, it's very doubtful because they have to change out all of the brackets and stuff on the poles, so that we'll have Christmas, the regular full lighted Christmas decorations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't realize all the Christmas decorations were also lost. I knew
They
we
were.
lost a lot of historic fire equipment, but
Yeah.
wow, that just hit me like a brick.
Well, the other thing is those decorations are like $50,000.
Yeah,
So we're not talking chump change, so.
wow.
And the window decorations, is that a chamber? I'm sorry to be so
The
uninformed.
contest,
Yeah, the competition, that's a chamber
yeah, the
thing.
Sonora Chamber will put that on, and they're doing, they have the Christmas town, so I'm sure everybody knows that we
Yeah,
lost the
yeah.
decorations, so, but we didn't lose Santa's house. It was in a different location. We're good with that. We didn't lose the cutouts that we put out in the park, the reindeers and stuff, so that's good, but we lost pretty much everything else.
Failed, yeah. Thank you.
Wow.
Mhm.
Question I had on the 3-hour parking that we usually do during the Christmas season, is that going to include some of the like trailers and stuff that have been over parking their stay?
That's a good question to ask our police chief.
Yeah, on Stewart Street.
Because,
Um,
I mean, if the idea of having that restriction is for better parking for customers, and it tends, that type of parking that I'm referring to is more of
Is Stewart Street,
business owners kind of plugging up.
is Stewart Street considered Zone A?
So the westerly side
Yeah.
of Stewart Street, where all the dumpsters are, yeah, that is Zone A. And then the easterly side of Green Street.
So, Drew, would you mind for just a moment? Councilmember Garaventa has a question. We are, in part of this item is to allow for 3-hour parking restrictions, to release the 3-hour parking restrictions. However, we've been noticing quite a bit of trailers parked along Stewart Street, along with dumpsters and so forth in parking spots. Councilmember Garaventa has a question concerning not allowing trailers to be parked, releasing that 3-hour restriction just for passenger vehicles. Correct? Is that what you were asking about?
Yeah. So that, the customers can come and go. It seems that there's been a lot of parking on the streets where people have their, more than likely business owners have trucks with trailers parking for more than 3 hours, even now when it's a 3-hour restriction. And it would be kind of less than ideal to continue that process even during the Christmas time, because you're trying to get people in and out shopping. And I was wondering if we can not restrict that kind of parking.
If we're just
Or to
talking
restrict
about,
that kind of
right,
parking, right.
yeah, if we're just talking about, the time to parking, then we might mention that specifically, with the trailers. There's a separate section that does talk about disconnected trailers, but it's not the hourly portion of it. It's more like a daily portion of it that it applies to. So I would recommend that we mention that specifically in there if that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed, I don't know if any other council members have noticed it, but I've noticed that there's been a lot of long-term parking, shall we say, in short-term parking of,
Right.
of business. I suspect business owners, don't know for sure, but they seem to be related to a couple businesses where they are parking basically all day.
Yeah,
Or near their business and it's a 3-hour parking and we're denying people parking.
Right. We've seen a few and I think they're trying to move them around,
Yeah.
every few days because that's a more significant ordinance that we have as far as disconnected trailers, longer than 48 hours.
Yeah.
But,
Well, anyway,
we're
just
limited a little bit
put it
of
on your
is
radar that
hourly
it's-
parking and all that stuff, but for the longer term of that, we do have something already in place for that. But I would recommend if that's what we want to focus on, that we mention that specifically, that it does not apply to disconnected trailers. What might be a way to
Yeah. I would
address
be-
that, so.
Yeah, I would.
Because
I'd
right
be
now,
happy
they're
to-
using the parking as storage.
Exactly.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
cool, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so we will ask for public comment on this item. Is there any public comment? One member of the public. Okay, so we'll bring it back to the council for a motion, second, or further discussion.
So I'll go ahead and move on staff recommendation, except that to add the caveat that that the on number 4, the 3-hour parking restriction, the lessening of the 3-hour restriction on parking does not apply to trailers, unhitched trailers, or trailers. That
I'd probably use it trailer just generally instead of just,
okay, trailer, that they do not apply to trailers.
I'll second that.
And that is a second with that one caveat, correct? Okay. Okay, motion by Councilmember Garaventa, second by Councilmember Such. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any noes? No
We're
abstentions?
just, fingers crossed that public health, comes through with the documentation.
Okay, passes 4-0. Okay, item number 6, approve administrative policy 2021 -001, COVID-19 prevention program, and authorize the city administrator to sign the policy. Mary Rose.
So council members, the item before you is administrative policy 2021-001, a COVID-19 prevention program. As we have been going these last 18 months through the COVID pandemic, we have been putting out policy recommendations to our employees as the regulations and the mandates have changed. Most recently, our Risk Management Association has asked its member cities to implement a COVID-19 prevention program, and that document is attached. It goes into specific details in regards to mask usage, hand sanitation usage, the responsibility of the employer to ensure that employees maintain a safe workplace, the responsibility of the employee to ensure that they are adhering to COVID-19 protocols. It does touch briefly on the requirements of the employees to provide the city HR department attestation of their vaccination status. It does give an employee the ability to not disclose that status. However, it will we will reflect that they are unvaccinated if they choose not to disclose. So these policies, these policies are being asked by our Risk Management Association that we implement this policy to ensure adhering from a risk perspective to COVID-19 protocols and mandates. I will say that this is most likely going to be a fluid and organic document as additional protocols potentially come down the pipeline, or maybe there's lightening up on protocols. So as I stated before, even though we have been kind of changing internal policies, this more or less creates one living document of those policies and the ability for us to change them as we move through. It does give the city administrator the ability to sign and implement these policies, and that's standard on administrative policies. So at this time, I'll entertain any questions on the COVID-19 prevention program.
So just for the public's knowledge, with this, our risk management is our insurance company, basically, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then with that, this is not mandating that city employees will have to receive the shot.
No, this is not a vaccination mandate. This is merely doing our part as the city to ensure that we have either vaccinated or unvaccinated employees, and then using that information to follow specific COVID-19 protocol.
And to me, at least from reading everything, the biggest thing coming out of it is the mask wearing in all city buildings, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that coupled with our county's health officer, it'll limit 50 people per building?
So, yeah, so this policy doesn't address that, but the recommendation of the public health officer,
Okay,
again, that is not a mandate, that was a recommendation. We talked
Okay.
about that last time, that we limit indoor facilities to 50 people or less, or follow, risk mitigation measures to ensure that we're considering social distancing and so forth spread. So we have started implementing that. We have let our event renters of the Sonora Opera Hall know about that limit, so they are following protocol on that. So we are going forward with that.
okay, cool. Any other questions? Okay. Any members of the public? Everybody's looking at Darren. Okay, so I'll bring it back to the council for a motion and or a second or further discussion.
Okay, I'll move to, if see no further discussion, I'll move to approve Administrative Policy 2021-001, the COVID-19 Prevention Program, and authorize the city administrator to sign the policy.
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion by Councilmember Garaventa, second by Councilmember Such. Just want to throw out there, I am going to support this now. Not only do we have our 2 council members back, which I'm very happy to have, this was the other part I wanted to get at, which was our risk management was requiring us to. And I don't want to see us put into a position where our insurance rates go up. That's not fair to the taxpayers that put us here. So, okay, so I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, passes 4-0. Okay, item number 7, adopt resolution 9/20/2021C, establishing the transient permit application fee schedule. Mary Rose.
All right, so let me just get to my agenda item, sorry. So as you know, we have been talking at quite length over, I believe, 8 different public meetings, city council, and also 1 planning commissioner meeting in regards to our short-term rental permit program. And this has kind of evolved as we've brought forth drafts and then the eventual adoption of the short-term rental program ordinance 880, that was adopted on August 16th. So since staff has had the ability to digest all of the requirements under that ordinance and able to secure a residential transient use permit under this ordinance, there are additional requirements now that staff need to be able to check and to verify in order for us to be able to issue a permit. So with that comes staff time. And I will just note that the previous permit of $50 did not fully cover the cost of staff, the time to review and issue a permit. So $50 did not completely cover that cost of that permit program. So staff has done a fee analysis of what it costs to be able to review the applications, verify permanent residency requirements, verify on-site parking. Also, we've got additional fire inspection requirements. And just of note, this ordinance does require a business licensure permit as well. So that's something that was not required under the previous ordinance. It did allow, the previous ordinance did allow for somebody not to have a business licensure if they were under a specific dollar amount. This ordinance does now require everyone to hold a business license, as this is a business enterprise. So with that, and going through the application and the requirements of that, we anticipated it takes about 2 hours to process this, to go out and process the application, verify and check. It does require us to connect with the assessor's office to look at that primary residency requirement, to verify those documents, and then to also go out and do a check on garbage and parking and so forth. So 2 hours at a fully weighted salary. Plus, we are implementing a new electronic system to be able for your applicants to apply online and to be able to pay their transient occupancy tax online, and for our host compliance to do the enforcement mechanism that is required under this ordinance. So with that, we are looking at a permit fee from $50 originally, now at $140. So we're seeing that shift. That is for a new initial application. For a renewal per year, that would be a $70 annual renewal application fee. They do have the annual fire inspection fee, which is $60. That does not change. That is a yearly annual cost. And then they have the yearly business licensure cost. The original, I think Chris, if you wouldn't mind helping me, is $99 for a business. Does it change on a renewal?
No, that's an annual figure. It's 99.
So they would also be required to pay the $99 business licensure fee. So 140. So we're asking just for you to look specifically at this fee, which is the change from the $50 to the 140, but also knowing that applicants would be required to pay a fire inspection fee, which is a separate fee, and a business licensure fee, which is a separate fee as well.
Do you really think 2 hours is adequate? I mean, I'm like, going out and looking at the property and everything else.
Well,
I mean, I think it's very reasonable. I mean, you're the ones that did the assessment. I just know how long it takes me to go out and look at something and come back and whatever. So.
Well, I will say we're recently looking at, Rochelle and I were recently looking at a property today. And there was a question on the applicant, something we had never anticipated before, which requires us then to contact our attorneys to look at situations and how this would fit in. And that requires staff research and analysis. So right now we are averaging the 2 hours, but there could be those potential special cases. I would say it definitely does not cost less than the $140 permit fee cost.
It just seems to me very reasonable, but as long as you're comfortable with it.
Councilmember Such?
Have you had any, people from in the Airbnb business comment on this?
We have not, because it hasn't been voted on by the council,
Right.
so we haven't let
No,
them know.
they'll wait till later to vote to, yeah, exactly.
We did tell them that the
I would
fees,
think that they would have been following this, though. I mean,
I-
they would have looked this up. But I just was curious what they had to say.
yeah, no one has commented on the fee. We have let them know that the application process and the fee were going to change. So anybody that has submitted an application, we have let them know that those costs would change and the application process in total would change.
Okay, any other questions? Kim, you're quiet tonight.
No.
You studied.
No, I don't have a problem with it really either. It's, for the most part, it's less than a day's, an average day's stay at one of these places, and they're gonna be doing far more than renting it out for just one time a year. So it is a business. It is the amount of staff time, and taxpayers really shouldn't subsidize, the cost of someone else doing a business. So, so I don't have an issue with it.
Cool.
But I was gonna wait for public comment before I said that, but I
Okay.
guess I didn't.
So I guess I will ask for public comment now. No public comment. Okay, so we'll bring it back to the council. Jim, did you want to say anything else?
Yeah, I'll move on staff recommendation.
Looking
I'll
for
second.
motion by Councilmember Garaventa, second by Councilmember Segestrom. And then looking for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Passes 4-0. I would like to say good job to the city because this is one of those things we set as a goal for streamlining and the whole streamlining process. And this is great. So thank you. Okay, so item number 8, receive an update on the status of the Vision Sonora Committee appointments of the 2 members of the public. So I don't know if you wanted to start off, and then I was going to ask a couple questions so then I could inform the
Sure.
council.
So this item was brought forth on the bequest of your 2 Vision Sonora committee members, council members. And so we just wanted to provide an update to the
Okay.
council on the status of those applications. I just want to remind the council that we did initially open it up in May. We only received 1 valid application. If you recall at the time, there was an application submitted by someone who lived outside the city. And so we opened it up again. The applicant deadline was July 6th on this last one. We received 3 additional applications during that time frame, and all the applications have been attached for your review.
I did receive, Mary Rose, I did receive 1 email, and I believe the rest of the council did. And this is something I don't know if we legally have to do or what, but this is for future other committee appointments or anything else. Do we have to legally allow their addresses and stuff in the paperwork?
So I talked about this with Doug, and I'll just say before if Doug wants to respond. So it has always been the practice that we show the address because of the residential requirement of applicants. And so even planning commissioners,
Yes.
any type of committees, the city has always taken the step to show the address. Now, that being said, Doug and I spoke in regards to that. We can redact, I guess, the number and still maybe show the street name and just you can.
Or both, and we can just designate whether or not they are in the city or outside of the city. So we talked about a couple different options. The way we've done it historically is not illegal or wrong. It's just the way we've done it historically. And Mary Rose and I had a conversation about maybe doing it differently on a going forward basis. So that would be either redacting the numbers in the street address, and because of the way some of the streets are, then designating whether or not they live in the city or in the county. That's how we think we're doing in the future.
But it is still subject to public records request, correct?
Yes.
The applications are.
So the addresses are still subject to Public Records Act request unless somebody is in a class of folks where their records are confidential and otherwise protected. That largely applies to folks who are in law enforcement and judicial positions. And so they would be, if they file certain paperwork with the state, we don't share that information. So outside of that, it's all subject to PRA requests.
I just know that we've been getting, and I did see your hand, I just know that we've been getting a lot of crazy people, crazy things going out there, and I'm trying to be as, what do you call it, politically correct as possible. But we have some real interesting people out there now, and my concern would be for someone's safety, even if something as small as, the Vision Sonora Committee. We just have some interesting times. So I want to make sure we're being as protective of those people, especially since they're volunteers. So I want to throw that out there.
I think we live in different times, and I think that's why you're going to get a recommendation from both your city administrator and from your city attorney to maybe do things a little different than we've historically done.
Okay. Councilmember Such.
I just want to say that it never even occurred to me that we should redact this, but when we got that email today, I thought I think it makes great sense. And, as long as, we can verify on the application, if whomever from the city can verify that it's a qualifying address. I don't think we should show any part of the address, the street number or the street. So, but certainly had never given it a thought before today.
Yeah, I know I've had a few people show up at my house unwanted that were not there for positive reasons. So anyway, so the other part I'm going to throw out there is that we've had a total of 4. One has now moved outside the city, which is a real shame. And then one, and I'm trying to be as nice about this as possible. One, from my understanding and what I've seen with my own eyes, has done some pretty anti-business things. So I would like to be able to talk to that person in a deeper manner and then at least get that out of the way, because I want to give everybody a fair chance. I think that is the right thing to do. Just like I said, I get to the next meeting and then we're good. We'll have our appointments. And then, of course, there is one person that did apply, and I honestly did not want to bug this individual because their spouse had heart surgery, and I don't know what's going on, but I think enough time has passed now, I would feel comfortable. So anyway, the next meeting, I will have those appointments, and then we can go from there.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you. Okay.
Can I just make what?
Yes.
Your city administrator will not be at the next meeting, so I don't think.
No, you're not allowed to go anywhere. You have to stay.
Your city attorney be there though, since she won't, so.
Doug, no, I'm just giving her a hard time, so.
I know.
Okay. Was that all?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I thought you were gonna go into detail, so. Okay, so then next is on to the monthly reports and then department head reports. True? Chief Vanderweel, do you have anything for us?
None there, thank you.
Okay. Chief New?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay.
Actually, I'm sorry. Too much going on. My lunch is finally settling, so.
So last night, just to give an update, we did have a structure fire off of Cemetery and Corky Lane. Ended up being an attic fire. Crews were on scene very quickly, contained it to the attic. Obviously, there was some smoke damage, and checking for extension, they did have to pull the ceilings down. But no injuries to firefighters, no injuries to the family members. They were all able to get out safely. So we just thank everybody for their participation and coming in and helping us out with that fire.
Yeah, I was just curious about the involvement of all the aircraft.
So anytime during fire season, because the potential of anything from a house going into the wildland and starting the spread, you get a full dispatch of the wildland as well.
Okay, thank you.
So Chief New, I do have a question. It seems like attic fires are getting a little more common, especially in older dwellings. Is there any recommendation from like fire code or electrical code to have your house inspected, within a certain amount of time, that kind of thing?
No, there isn't any annual inspections, but as a homeowner, if you have any kind of additions throughout the years, sometimes with wiring and electrical that goes through different chases in the house, there might be rodents or anything that might get inside and start chewing on things, so it can arc and spark and start a fire as well. So I just think doing your due diligence. The attic is not one place, or basements, that people really like to get up and crawl around to check out their wiring, but it's definitely worthwhile to get up there and possibly set traps to make sure you don't have any animals or critters that are causing some problems, and get a home inspection. I would definitely recommend that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Community Development Director Rochelle.
So just to give you a quick update, so we are in the process to make sure that we have all our existing transient use permit holders that are in good standing. We're going to get a quick letter out to them so we can get them scheduled for their inspections, so we can bring them into compliance now that the ordinance has come into play. And then we'll be working with new applicants to get those processed. So that is in the works, and thank you for the updating the fees, and because it does take a lot of time and it is new territory. It'll get easier. I wanted to let you know that we have received multiple complaints on garbage cans and dumpsters and stuff, especially on Stewart Street. We're very aware of it. We are trying to come up with alternatives to present. And I got a call this afternoon. Apparently somebody took it upon themselves to add even more to Stewart Street and put them in parking spaces. So the city administrator and I will work on it. I wish there was a really good answer. If anybody knows of one, but it is a problem and it's going to have to be addressed. And unfortunately, there's going to be losers because we don't have a good situation back there. Anyway, but I want to let you know we are aware of it. We have received the complaints. We know you guys have had received complaints, and we're doing our best to try to resolve the issue. So I just want to give you guys that heads up.
Thank you.
Rochelle, I just wanted to commend you for being on top of the Prop 68 park grant, because I was sitting in a mayor's and council members meeting about that, and I was like, whoa, have we done anything? And Mary Rose told me you were on top of it, so,
Yeah.
fingers crossed that.
We have till December. If we weren't so dang busy, we would already had it to you, but we have been. So we have to see what comes to the top first, and December's a little farther away. But we did already you guys already approved the grant, and we've already looked at projects, and so now it's just identifying the projects in the
Very
application.
exciting, and I was glad to know about that. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Finance Director, Chris Gorski.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney, Doug.
Nothing more tonight, Mayor. I appreciate it.
Thank you. City Administrator.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. So first off, so I just want to, for the public, September 24th on Friday, there's going to be a job fair at the Opera Hall. And the city of Sonora is sponsoring that. We are following the public health recommendations of no more than 50 persons in there at a time. But we are working together with Motherlode Job Training to be able to bring this job fair, because we know that our local businesses are in desperate need of workers. And so we were happy to sponsor this event. And I know Rochelle talked to you guys about the Christmas banners and wreaths. So we will be seeing the banners, but not the wreaths. The wreaths are quite expensive. So when we go to make that purchase, we will have to bring that back before the council because of that budget transfer. And then I don't know if everybody was aware of the My Mother Lode article that came out on Friday in regards to the Caltrans property and the removal of the homeless. So I know we had a large gathering of the public at the last meeting in regards to that property. So I am very thankful that Caltrans has been working very collaboratively with the city to address that piece of property. And we are starting to work collaboratively to address the Stockton Road property as well. That, of course, is a larger encampment, so that's going to take quite some time in order to be able to work with the unsheltered persons there to plug them into services and so forth. And then, of course, working with Caltrans on to establish the different type of property lines and so forth, and working in the cleanup of that.
Is that the property on the downside of Stockton Street?
Across from Camp Hope,
Yeah,
yes.
so near Woods Creek.
Yes, yes.
Did any camps burn in the fire?
To my knowledge, no. Although I will say, and the police chief and I have talked about this openly, that since we have seen the closure of Camp Hope from the county, we have seen quite a number of additional camps within the city. 30, I believe, about 30 additional camps within the city since the closure of Camp Hope. I know these last couple of weeks, the lieutenant the police lieutenant and I have been working on some Camp Hope RV trailers that were pushed off of Camp Hope and then ended up on city roads. And so working with towing companies and abatement to address that. So it definitely has had an impact to the city jurisdiction with the county closure of the county Camp Hope. So I just wanted to keep the city council in the loop on that. And then lastly, Councilmember Garaventa and myself will be attending the League of Cities starting on Wednesday annual conference. Really excited to finally be back in person. So that'll be in Sacramento, and we will be there, and Doug will be there Wednesday through Friday. Oh, and one last thing. I will not be here on October 4th. Staff and I have gone through the agenda. We do not have anything pressing that needs to come before the council on October 4th. And so we were hoping we would be able to get council approval to cancel October 4th and make the next meeting October 18th.
okay with me.
Yeah, it works.
Will you do that
Right,
when I
let
go
me
on
know.
vacation?
We'll be glad to, Ann.
Does that need to be a motion and?
Doug, does that need to be
Yeah.
a motion?
And does that need to be agendized?
Mhm.
Or can it just be canceled?
We don't have anything to agendize for the next meeting on October 4th, and we'd like to be able to cancel
I
October
think it's
4th.
just a consensus thing.
Excuse me.
It does not need to be agendized.
Yeah.
So if there's consensus to cancel the meeting, then we can do that. And we just wouldn't have a quorum at the next meeting and we would notice that.
Cool.
I'm down.
Have a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's fine,
Okay,
sure.
so just for the public, October 4th will be canceled, and we'll make sure we post that on our website and notice that appropriately.
Cool.
Okay,
Excellent. Councilmember Garaventa.
Not much to report. Attended the Solid Waste Committee meeting and Transportation Council meeting, both on the same day, and I guess a week ago Wednesday. Oh, and that's kind of where we kind of did the impetus to get Caltrans to pay attention on some things. So other than that, I have nothing to report.
Cool.
Like,
Council-
can you go?
Councilmember Segestrom.
Oh, and of course,
Oh.
I attended the Social Equity Committee meeting too.
Yeah, I attended the Christmastown meeting and, like the $50,000 that the city's, decorations might cost, the committee has decided to, just ask, businesses to outline their own buildings in lights. And Columbia is sponsoring a skating rink, so that would be twice as big as the one here in Sonora. So they are opting out of the skating rink and putting a Santa's Village probably in Coffle Park with activities for children. The nonprofit Christmas Tree Forest competition, nonprofit organizations will be happening in Courthouse Park. They have authorization for that. I'm supposed to be looking for somebody to make a Santa mailbox. So let me know if Mr. Handy. If you can do that.
Let's talk about that. I'll tell you
Yeah.
this week.
And they were up for assisting with pole decor if that was something that they could be called upon to do. I attended the Yes Partnership, and there was the Hope and Honor Suicide Prevention Walk on 9/11. And then we talked about the Prop 68 grant, which the city has applied for, $177,000, which would be great for our parks. The mayors and council members meeting for Cal Cities. We had a lengthy discussion on emergency response, and they're going to be putting that forward as a forum topic in upcoming meetings. And Mary Rose took care of the city-sponsored Workforce Development Day. And the Energy Action Committee is rebooting coming up on September 22nd. And I will be working with Mary Rose to see if I can agendize that to become a city-sanctioned committee.
Cool. Thank you. Councilmember Such.
Let's see, I also attended TCTC, and I don't really have anything to report from that meeting. On the 8th, on the 9th, I attended the Tuolumne County Commission on Homelessness, and that's a pretty active committee. And I was assigned to a new subcommittee on that, and it's a group looking for more appropriate spaces for homeless camps that perhaps could be a little bit more controlled and sort of governed. 13th, I attended the Social Equity Committee meeting. I think we're getting close to completing the resolution. And if there isn't a city council meeting on the 4th, it's possible that we'll have that to bring to the council for the following meeting.
Yay.
I shouldn't have said that, but I'm trying to give myself that pressure. And this is not a city meeting, but I'm on the Child Care Planning Council for the city, because during COVID and the business shutdowns, it became so clear that childcare was lacking in this community.
Yeah.
And that's really this Child Care Planning Commission is under ISIS and the Superintendent of Schools Office. And just a lot of good work happening there. Rochelle, I need to talk to you actually about that because I have some questions. And then I just attended a couple virtual conferences. One was on rainwater reclamation and flood control, that there was some interesting stuff going on there. I think I reported at the last council meeting that the city of Groveland just received a big grant through IRWIN for a rainwater reclamation, a whole program up there. And I also attended one on climate change and how city policies perhaps could be adjusted to really be a little more proactive and this new fire normal that we all live in, and that we're lucky to have Amy respond to so brilliantly. And did we lose the Christmas garland in the fire? We probably did. We needed,
Yeah,
we'll do that
we
again.
will reclaim our balcony with
Okay.
holiday cheer.
Yes, and that's it from me.
We may have a member of the public that may want to donate to purchasing another garland. I will find out here very soon. So I really don't have much, just for members of the public and Darren, I'm not talking about you, but members of the public that may watch this, the city council, all of us may disagree or get irritated with one another, drive each other nuts. It's still a very demanding job, and I know that none of us are doing it for the pay. And I know that every member up here, regardless of political affiliation, ideology, doesn't matter. They're here because they want to be here. And I thank my fellow council members for that, because I've seen the changes on council, and I really do appreciate it. Like, you hear people get upset about things and that sort of thing. And I just, would ask the public for your patience, especially during this time, because we have a lot of different ideas up here, but we're all doing it because we do love Sonora. And that I know is a fact. So that's all I have to say. And I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all the discussions I've had in the last 2 weeks. And I will, in our next meeting, I'll let everyone know exactly why I did what I did. So with that, I will call the council meeting over at 5:51 p.m.